Hey, we're here with Mike Vaters, Black Stallion. Everybody knows Mike from Black Stallion, and of course he runs several trucks. He's got a 4-truck team running Overkill Evolution and the Cool Bus,
Higher Education,
and
Iron Warrior,
Yeah. And through the years, been involved in a lot of trucks. I owe a lot to him. He helped me at my first ever show with War Wagon. I was ready to give up. I'd been up for 3 days straight and never had, went to bed and got there with a motor that didn't run, and he helped me rebuild the motor in a parking lot.
Yeah, you had problems with your intake.
Yeah.
And we were hand cutting gaskets out, and then you had a problem with your orbital steering. And it's like, let's get this thing done. And
yeah,
that was kind of funny yesterday. I tore my transfer case out. Mikey had shock problems, and I felt like I was getting ready to give up. And Jeff here, he's cutting gaskets and making things work, and I'm like, yeah, the roles are reversed here. He's Jeff and I, we go way back, and there's times that he hated me and I hated him, but it's always been a big brotherhood, and we've stuck together. And his shop was open to me, and my shop was open to him, and whatever we needed to do. And that's what I like about the monster trucks versus any other racing. We're whatever's in my trailer, is whoever's, and of course everybody's trailer's mine.
Well, and I used to find a lot of my tools in his trailer. That's why I started painting them that ugly yellow color, so nobody wanted them, and then I'd still find them in his trailer. I'd be like, man, where's that 9/16
I started painting mine yellow.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in the monster truck business.
Well, it's kind of the same story most people have. I mean, we all have high street trucks, and nothing's ever bigger. The 44-inch tire come out, and I had 40s on it. I actually bought the truck in '81. It was an '82 Ford F1 250, and we started lifting it up. And I think back then they didn't even have a lift for that independent twin eye beam. They had it for the 150, but not the 250. And I went to a local fab shop and brought my drop brackets to them. I said, we need to drop these. I lifted the truck 6 inches when we first started, and an old guy named Spade was his name, and he put them on a saw and cut them and started fabricating. And before I knew it, he said, I'll come back at 5, we'll have them done. And before I knew it, I had the front drop, the brackets dropped, the big springs in it. And at the time, the biggest tire, DOT tire, was a 40.
Mm-hmm.
As we all know, shortly after that, the 44 come out, and I had to have that, so I went back and we put 10-inch drop brackets on it, put 44s on it. And right after that, that wasn't good enough, so I had to put it back in the shop, tear the rear out of it, and I put rear steering on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first truck in my whole area to have rear steering, and that was an awesome deal. People were just, they come down the dual highway. It was a big cruise area in Hagerstown. I used to cruise down that sideways.
Well, you probably still have all the parts from that truck, don't you?
Yeah, well, that's the one I converted into Black Stallion. And, I have the chassis and the springs. And
well, you used to have the tires. You still got those?
Oh, I still got the 44s, yeah. I don't get rid of much.
He doesn't get rid of much of anything. He's kind of hoarded everything through the years. I used to love going to his shop because I'd always have a trailer load of goodies coming home. I'd talk him into selling me something or trading me something. So
yeah. We've the same thing when I went to your shop. It was like, oh my goodness, and a lot of cars, and Nova. You had a Nova up, on 40s, and it's just awesome.
So tell us a little bit then. You were at one of the jamborees and you got to perform with the truck. Is that?
Yeah,
you
actually,
got to race with it, and it was still on 44s then, wasn't it?
No. That was on down the road in later years. That was in '88. That was in '88 when I come back to when I started missing my street truck. I put together an F350.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we put it on 44s. But back to what we were doing on the street, and then the cops, I started getting so many tickets, and then basically they give me an option, either lower to take it off the street, and so basically took it off the street and started building it. And I actually went to a jamboree. I went out to Marion County Fairground in Indianapolis, and that was the main jamboree deal then. And I met Gary Bauer, and there was a very few trucks then. Met Mark Boyce Equipment, and of course I had the rear steering, and that's where I met Jerry Richmond.
Okay.
Going to Indy, and was picking on them guys, steering it, going down the road, and you know, Jerry was just blown away. And we hit it off right there, and that's where all this, our big family started. It was you know, a lot of the jamborees. So I went to the jamboree. I got runner up for best engineer that year, and like I said, drove it the whole way there with open rear steering. And then I got hooked up with Mark Boyce, and he kept bugging me, you need to do this, you need to do this. He really just wanted to sew axles. But then, you know, I got talking with Gary Bauer. You know, he had the Lone Ranger there, and, which was, you know, the 83 Ford Ranger. And so finally I kept just getting tickets every time I took the truck out. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I remember calling Mark Boyce and said, you know, send me some 5-ton axles and a 2.5-ton transfer case and some springs. And then we worked on it about a year, and we brought it out in the beginning. Oh, it's spring of '94, I believe we brought it out, the truck. It was a monster truck. And yep, and then it was that, what was it?
What year?
84.
84, okay.
Yeah, 84.
Oh, you said 94.
Well,
I
get my decades confused, so I don't even say 2000. But yeah, it was 84.
It's been a lot of years, I know.
Yeah, Tim Hall we were talking yesterday, and he was saying that the different years we raced. The 80s, the 90s, you know, 2000, now the 2000 teens.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was making me feel old.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been quite the road, and you know, like we were just talking with you. You know, you come into the scene, and you know, I know you weren't working with a lot of money, but you know, you come out with a truck, you built your own chassis, and makeshift shocks, and you know, as we advanced with our shocks, and you know, you can never cut you any slack. You'd be right there, especially if we'd I shouldn't say make you mad. There wasn't no beating Jeff that night. He would clean everybody's clock, but he, you know. And I remember, you know, we'd be changing tires, and you know, I remember one day we were all day trying to get a tire changed, and we finally got it changed. It had a big tight bead on it. I don't know if you remember that. And you're like, I'm going to lunch, and that was it.
Yeah. I don't know. I forget half the stuff.
Oh,
but
that's
it's
my
fun.
problem.
It's fun visiting because you start remembering some of it. But that's we had a lot of good times out there. We did a lot of traveling together, and even spent some holidays together. I remember we did some shows, some Thunder National shows. Aaron tried some over, I think, Thanksgiving and different things, and that was kind of weird not being home on Thanksgiving. But I hung out with him and had turkey dinner at his house, and then we drove all night, I think, to get to Springfield, Connecticut or something to do a Thunder Nationals. And had an adventure with your, I think that was the time your hitch came off of your hauler, and I'm watching, following him, and all of a sudden it seemed weird. I'm like, your trailer isn't quite following the truck.
The trailer and the truck were doing this like a yo-yo.
Of course, back then we didn't have cell phones, we had CBs.
Yeah.
And I called him on the CB, hey Mike, something's not right, you better slow down, but don't do it very fast, because I think you're losing your trailer. And sure enough.
Plate, we had the motor home, and then the plate come down, and the supports going up, the frame come loose, and yeah, the plate, the 3/4 inch plate was doing that. We got it into a truck stop.
Yeah, spent half the night, and it was like 10 degrees or something. It was cold and miserable, and 2 in the morning, and we're trying to grind and trying to weld with a portable welder.
Good times.
Wow.
Michael Vaters, I had the Black Stallion. It's a 1988 Ford F350 Lariat. It's got a 460 cubic inch Ford engine, 871 blower, 2 Predators. It's delivering about 900 horsepower at about 8,500 RPMs. It's got the C6 automatic transmission with a 2.5-ton Rio air shift, 5-ton military axles with the planetary steering ends that steers from the front and rear. It's got 10-ply 66-43-25 Goodyear Terra tires, and my springs are custom built with TRW. I tour usually all over the United States. I'm up here the end of this tour here in Canada, and we're at Sunset Speedway. Hope it'd be a good turnout. I went in the final round with Excalibur. Well, I wasn't the final round Friday night, next in the final round, and he got me by about a truck and a half. I look to get a little closer tonight.